Okay, so you know how we all want to be ahead of the curve, like really get a grasp on what's going to be important in the future?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into something that's totally shaking up the world of work and learning.
It's really changing things up, yeah.
It's this idea of the upskilling revolution.
Hmm.
And a huge driver of this is AI, artificial intelligence.
AI is a game changer.
Right. And to really unpack this, we're going to be looking closely at a piece called The Future of Work, Part 3, specifically Upskilling Revolution, learning at the speed of AI.
It's got some great insights in there, like real-world examples and what this shift actually means for all of us.
From all of us, yeah. So basically, the mission for today's deep dive
Yeah,
is to really get into the nitty-gritty of how we need to be thinking about learning differently now.
100%.
We'll look at the exciting opportunities, obviously, but also the very real challenges that this revolution, this upskilling revolution, throws our way.
For sure.
All right, so let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
One thing that really stood out in this piece is just how fast things are changing in terms of the skills we need.
It's moving at warp speed.
It is.
Yeah.
The World Economic Forum, they estimate that by 2025, a whopping 40% of workers' core skills will be different.
40%. Wow.
40%. Like, think about that for a sec.
Yeah.
Almost half of what makes you good at your job today
Hmm.
could be totally different in just a couple of years. It's crazy.
It's not just the number, it's the pace of change.
Yeah.
It's like we're on a rocket ship, you know?
We got to keep learning.
Exactly. That whole idea of going to school, getting your degree, and then doing that same job for 30 years.
Gone.
So gone.
The source calls it learn, unlearn, relearn.
And that's our reality now.
It's constant. It's lifelong learning. And it's not optional anymore.
It's essential. You want to stay competitive.
Got to be a lifelong learner.
100%.
And even how we learn has been totally transformed.
Oh, for sure. It's not just about stuffy classrooms anymore.
Thank goodness.
Right. I mean, we're learning through apps, through augmented reality.
People are learning on TikTok.
I know, right?
It's pretty amazing. It's really democratized learning.
It has. Which makes you wonder, though, are we all ready for that?
That's a good question. Are we really prepared to embrace these new ways of learning in all these different places?
It's a huge shift for a lot of us.
It is. And, you know, some governments are stepping up to the plate, like Singapore. Their SkillsFuture program is fascinating.
It is. What they've done is incredible. Essentially, every single citizen gets $500 every year in credits.
Wait, what? Every year?
Every single year. And they can use those credits to take courses.
Wow. Any courses?
Anything, from coding to cooking, whatever skills they need or want.
So the idea is to make learning a habit.
Exactly. It's like, hey, this is part of life now. Keep learning. We'll help you.
And it seems to be working. The piece says 2.5 million citizens have participated since it started in 2015.
That's huge.
It is. But the big question the source asks is it enough?
Enough to deal with this massive upskilling challenge.
Right.
Right.
Are people using those credits in a way that'll really help them in the future?
And are the courses actually, doing the job of preparing people?
It's something to think about.
Definitely.
And on that note, there was a really insightful quote from Dr. Lena Park at the OECD about the bigger picture.
Oh, I remember that one. It was powerful.
She basically said that lifelong learning can't be this thing that's just, nice to have, or something that individuals are solely responsible for.
It's got to be a team effort.
Right. To really address this and avoid what she called skills apartheid.
That term was chilling. Skills apartheid.
It is. It's basically this idea that only certain groups of people will be able to adapt and thrive.
And that's not a future any of us want.
Not at all. So governments need to fund it, companies need to prioritize it, and workers need to actively seek out these opportunities.
It's a three-legged stool. You need all of them for it to work.
Absolutely. And you know what else ties into this whole discussion?
What's
the rise of micro-credentials. The piece talks about how they're kind of challenging the traditional four-year degree.
Oh, for sure. It's a whole new world out there.
It is. And it's growing so fast. Platforms like Coursera and Udemy, those online learning platforms,
Yeah.
they've seen a massive increase in enrollments. Like 300% since 2020.
Wow, that's insane.
It is.
Okay.
So instead of spending 4 years and a ton of money getting a degree, people are doing these shorter, more focused courses.
And things like blockchain, UX design, sustainability.
Exactly. They're kind of like digital badges that you get when you finish a course or prove you have a certain skill.
Like a certification, but way more specific.
Yeah.
And usually faster to get.
Exactly. But here's the big question for you. Are employers actually valuing these things?
Right. Are they really seeing them as a viable alternative to a degree?
Or at least a good supplement? Because that's a big deal.
It is. And the piece actually gives a really interesting example with IBM.
Oh yeah, IBM. They're doing some really interesting things with what they call new-collar jobs.
They're really leading the charge in this area. It's impressive.
So they've decided to focus on actual skills and certifications.
Things like cloud computing, cybersecurity, AI ethics.
Right. Stuff that's in high demand. And they're putting those on equal footing with a bachelor's degree.
And the results speak for themselves. They're now filling 50% of their roles without requiring a 4-year degree.
50%. That's a huge change for a company like IBM.
It's a big statement. They're basically saying, look, we care about what you can do, not just what piece of paper you have.
Exactly. And it's not just about filling jobs. It's about creating a more diverse workforce.
Oh, yeah. They found that 30% of their new hires now come from non-traditional backgrounds.
So people who might not have gone the traditional college route.
Exactly. It's giving opportunities to people who might not have had them before.
It's pretty awesome. And speaking of people who are really taking advantage of these new opportunities, the story of Anika Patel is incredibly inspiring.
Oh, I loved that story. It really shows what's possible.
So she was working as a retail manager, but she wanted to do something different.
And she taught herself Python.
I know, it's amazing. She was studying in the evenings after her kids went to bed, did a coding boot camp.
It takes dedication.
It does. But it paid off. She ended up tripling her salary.
That's the dream.
It is. And, her story proves that learning isn't just for young people. It's not about age.
It's about having the drive, the grit to learn new things and change your life.
Absolutely. But as inspiring as these individual stories are, the piece doesn't shy away from the challenges.
Right. There are definitely some roadblocks out there.
Like, a lot of people don't even have access to the training they need. 45% of low-wage workers say they can't get the training they need to upskill.
That's heartbreaking, and it highlights the systemic issues at play.
Exactly. So while individual effort is great, it's not enough. We need policy changes.
Things like paid learning sabbaticals. Imagine that.
Right. Take time off to learn new skills without losing income. That would be amazing.
Or universal education stipends. Give everyone some financial support to pursue learning.
It would make a huge difference.
It would level the playing field.
For sure. And employers have a big role to play in all of this.
Oh, yeah. They're a critical piece of the puzzle.
Diego Martinez, the CEO of Skill Up Coalition, makes a really interesting point. He says employers need to stop thinking of training as an optional perk.
It's not a nice to have.
Right. He says it's essential infrastructure, like electricity.
Invest in your employees' skills. It's an investment in your company's future.
Exactly. And the whole concept of portable benefits, that's a really cool idea.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
So imagine healthcare or learning stipends that aren't tied to one specific employer.
They move with you.
Exactly. So as you change jobs, those benefits go with you,
That would be game-changing.
especially in the gig economy, where people are switching jobs more often.
It would give people more security and freedom to learn new things.
Absolutely. So looking ahead, what does all this point to? The piece talks about this idea of a learning ladder.
The learning ladder. I like the sound of that.
Right. It's basically this idea that all those micro-credentials you get,
Yeah.
they can stack up over time, like building blocks.
So you start with a small credential, then add another and another.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
eventually, they lead to higher qualifications and better job opportunities.
It's a more flexible and accessible way to build your career. I love it.
And we're already seeing this happening. The piece mentions Finland.
Finland is always ahead of the curve.
They are. They're creating these nationwide systems for adult learning, often making it free.
That's fantastic.
And then there are companies like Salesforce. They have this platform called Trailhead.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's like a learning platform specifically for Salesforce skills.
Exactly. So they're empowering their employees to learn new things like no-code app development, which helps both the employees and the company.
It's a win-win.
It is. And, this isn't just happening in developed countries. The example from Rwanda was really cool.
Oh, yeah, using VR to train farmers.
Right. They're using virtual reality to teach farmers about AI-driven crop management.
AI on the farm? That's wild.
It is. It shows that this upskilling revolution is happening everywhere.
It's global, and it affects every industry.
Exactly. And the other thing that's really cool is that age is becoming less and less of a factor.
Learning is for everyone.
Right. The piece mentions a 60-year-old architect learning BIM software, and an 18-year-old influencer teaching people about digital literacy.
Love that.
So it really is for everyone.
No matter your age, no matter your background, you can be part of this upskilling revolution.
Exactly. So to wrap it all up, what are the key takeaways here?
All right, let's recap.
First off, learning is not optional anymore. You got to be learning all the time.
Continuous learning is the name of the game.
And the ways we learn are changing big time.
It's not just about classrooms and textbooks anymore.
Right. And to navigate all of this, we need both individual initiative and systemic support.
We need people to be proactive, but we also need systems in place to make learning accessible.
Exactly. And this is a global phenomenon. This isn't just happening in Silicon Valley.
It's happening everywhere. It affects all of us.
It does.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. But it's also a challenge.
It is. But I think it's a challenge we can rise to.
I agree. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. If you could pick one skill to learn right now, something that would have a huge impact on your future, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one.
And more importantly, what's one small step you can take today to start learning that skill?
Don't wait. Start today.
Exactly.
Ah.
Awesome. Well, next time we're going to be diving into the world of remote work.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
It is. We'll be talking about digital nomads, burnout, the impact on company culture in the metaverse, all that good stuff.
I can't wait.
Me neither. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you later.